Hello and welcome to The Muppets, the Sitcom, the podcast, presented by toughpigs.com. This is the podcast where we revisit the Muppets' grand return to television in the 2015 ABC series The Muppets and see how it holds up 5 years later. You can follow along with this series by revisiting The Muppets 2, now streaming on Disney+. I'm Joe Hennes, your host for today's show, and our very special guest is one of our senior writers over on toughpigs.com and our resident expert on all things poetry and Gonzo the Great and many other things. Please introduce yourself, guest.
Hi, it's Julia Gaskill. I like the sound of senior Tough Pigs writer. I guess I have been doing it for a while at this point.
You have been, yeah, for sure. You're one of the old timers now.
Oh gosh,
You've been around
yeah.
for so long.
It's been about 10 years, maybe not quite, but like we're getting there. Yeah, I've been with Tough Pigs for a while. I do know a lot about poetry and Gonzo, so right on the mark.
I kind of like made up, like, these are two things that you are definitely, like, whenever there's anything poetry related or Gonzo related, I feel like, well, we have to loop Julia in. She's our expert. There's probably like 2 or 3 other things too, but those were the ones at the top of the list.
I feel like when it comes to like Muppets, like certainly, I mean, I feel like anything I write for, maybe not anything, but every other thing that I write for Tough Pigs, I mention how much I love Gonzo, so that's on point. And then I feel like I'm probably also the only current or past Tough Pigs writer that has shared poetry on the site before, so you know.
There's one other that comes to mind. He's not one of our regular writers, but our very good friend David Buchema, who's an old Tough Pigs Forum member. He wrote years ago. He wrote a series of haikus, one for each episode of the Muppet Show.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Which I know him, but not super well. So, and I think we kind of maybe were like passing ships where he was on the forums, and then I came up after he wasn't on it quite as frequently. So maybe I need to message him and be like, hey, show me some of these Muppet haiku.
Yeah. Well, we'll link to that in the show notes and stuff because they're really great. They hold up really well. But today we're not talking about the Muppet Show. We're talking about the other Muppet Show, The Muppets from 2015. This week we are looking at episode 8, Going Gonzo, in which Gonzo reignites his love for daredevilism, Miss Piggy goes into the bottled water business, and Scooter almost gets his ear pierced. So, what a roller coaster ride we're in for here.
A lot of different things, and that pretty much sums it all up.
My first question for you, before we get into the episode itself, is did you watch this show, The Muppets, 5 years ago? And if so, what was your opinion of it at the time?
My opinion on the entire show, or kind of like with this episode, where was I at with the show, or just general?
I mean, either one. It's up to you.
I mean,
answer however you want.
So
it's our show. We don't care.
I will be quite honest. I haven't watched it since it aired and got canceled. And I was watching the episodes, I think, twice when they were coming out. I would watch them the morning of, like the following day, and then I would watch it again later that day with my partner when I'd get home from work. He would want me to wait for him, but I'd be like, you have to understand, I need to watch these episodes, you need to wait, and then we'll watch them later, I promise. But it's been a long time since I've watched the show in general. This is, I think, the first time I've watched it since it went off the air. But I do remember very much enjoying it. I think it's very much like any other show, where like early on I was like, it feels almost there, but it's not quite. But I do remember like by the time the show was wrapping up, I was like, oh, they've like figured out a lot of things and it's got so much potential, which is why it was like extra devastating that it got canceled, that they didn't really give it a chance to kind of learn and grow. But overall, I have a lot of positive memories associated with it. I thought that it was a smart idea for the Muppets because they've tried so many different things over the years, and I thought that it really honestly worked. It played to their comedy with the talking heads, and also like still was, they were able to like figure out a lot of physical gags and bring in a lot of like great guest stars. I thought that like the working of the guest stars was pretty smart by giving Piggy her own talk show. And I don't know, I thought that it worked really well to the Muppet strengths, but then it got taken away and we didn't get to see where it would go. Yeah.
I mean, the funny thing is that when you say that you watched it twice, you know, when it came out, it's like already like coming into this podcast, you've already watched this show way more than I have.
Oh.
Because like even though like neither of us have watched it, I mean that's the point. Is like neither of us have watched it since it originally came out. And like for me, I watched those episodes right off the bat. If I was writing a review of the episode, maybe I'd watch it a second time to like, you know, write down quotes and things like that. But yeah, I didn't watch it again afterward. I've never really thought about revisiting. I mean, we've talked about this before here on this show, but like that's the whole reason I wanted to do this podcast was because like I haven't like I feel like it's a Muppet thing that we were jazzed about at some point. So I should probably watch it a second time at some point.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the episode itself. The very first thing we see, I really want to make sure we're talking heavily about Piggy Water.
Oh my god. I mean, so I said that like I have really like positive like memories of this show. I will say like I don't know if it's really the show, but more like just modern day Piggy I have like issues with, which like it even carried on to like Muppets now. Yeah, I did remember the Piggy Water for whatever reason. Like I didn't remember that it was in this episode, but I remembered Piggy Water was a part of the show at some point. So when it popped up right away, I was like, oh cool, I get to revisit this, I guess.
Well, what's funny is like I think the concept of Piggy Water is hysterical. Just to remind people who maybe haven't watched the episode or are watching along with us. So Piggy Water is Miss Piggy is like starting a new business. She tried previously to have a body soap venture, but it didn't work out. And she said, "I don't know why people didn't want to buy hogwash," which is kind of a funny line.
It's pretty good.
That seems like a very Muppet Show line. That's very like punny. Like,
yeah,
wink, wink,
you can
nudge to the
imagine her
camera.
saying it on the Muppet Show and then like followed by the laugh track.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe like she looks directly in the camera.
Yeah.
So the bottle comes with like when you open up the cap, it's got a little bit of lipstick on the rim, as if Miss Piggy already took a sip from it. It has 30 grams of fat. Kermit later says in the episode that it may not fit in the category of water at all. The FDA categorized it as sauce.
And like also at the end, like Gonzo, like when he's in it, like says that it like tastes super buttery or something.
Yeah, well, that's the tagline.
Yeah,
Miss Piggy says,
that's right.
It's buttery good. The thing that like kind of stood out to me, and I'm saying this, knowing like thinking a lot about what's going on in politics these days. I don't know when this episode's going to land, but like we're recording this basically the day that it's been announced that Joe Biden has won the presidency. So we've been talking a lot about politics, especially the past few days, and just like Miss Piggy talking about like the hogwash thing and now the water. For some reason, it's feeling very like Trump stakes in Trump University to me. Is that just me, or am I just like projecting current events onto this?
No,
episode?
it does definitely have that feel. This show came out in 2015, right?
Yes, 2015.
Yeah, so I don't know if that was in the minds of the writers at the time, but it does have like the feel of a certain politician we've had to deal with for years and years now, and like all of his previous endeavors of being like, here's my college, here's my stakes, and like it's all just not good products secretly, not even so secretly.
Right, when you're just a reality TV show star, and stop trying to go into business, right?
Yeah, and just like putting your name on anything, even when it's not great.
Right. So next to where Kermit and Piggy are having their initial conversation about Piggy Water, we see already our very first celebrity of this episode. It's Mr. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, everybody.
Yes.
Who can do anything, apparently. Like, he could sing, he could dance, he could tell jokes, he's a good actor. He was a child star, now he's an adult star. Like, this guy is, he's a tap dancing fool.
He's great. I love him on this show. I mean, like, him doing the duet with Piggy is great, but then, like, his follow-up scene where he's playing poker with the Muppets and, like, he
Yes.
bluffs his way into getting all of their Muppet money is...
Oh my god, that's such a funny line. We'll talk about that in a minute, but I do love... So he's playing poker with them, and then he says he's kind of like bluffs them, like he's a ringer, like he makes them think that he's a bad poker player, and I can't remember if it's Rizzo or Pepe. They're like how did you do that? He says it's through acting, and then he says, "Give me your Muppet money," and he shoves the chips in his pockets and runs away. That's good stuff.
It's really good.
That feels like stuff that he like kind of came up with on the day of.
I think so. I've talked about it before in the past, but I always feel like you can tell when somebody who's in a scene with the Muppets is genuinely having a good time, and he definitely does seem that way. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think a big part of that too is like he has a long history of working with the Muppets. So back in 2013, he appeared on Sesame Street. Mm-hmm. He got to present the word of the day with Murray. The word was reinforce, in case you were curious. The same year, he appeared in a segment with Kermit the Frog in Lady Gaga and the Muppets Holiday Spectacular, everyone's favorite special.
I don't know.
Just kidding,
I don't
it's
know
terrible.
if I've ever watched that one. Like,
Oh
to
man,
be
you're
quite
so lucky.
honest.
You're so lucky. I will say, like, there's some. I personally think that there's a couple of moments in that special that are pretty good, but as a special, it's so painful. Just skip it.
I
watch
don't know. It's possible I did watch it and I've just like suppressed all of the memories of it.
That seems likely.
Yeah.
In 2019, just last year, he hosted Sesame Street's 50th anniversary celebration. The big 50th anniversary special. He was right there on the street. It was pretty fun. The same year, he was also one of the presenters as Sesame Street was inducted into the Kennedy Center honor. Oh my God, I can't say words. Kennedy Center honors. See, I'm not an actor. I'm not as good as Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
You didn't play young Bruce Willis. Acting.
I didn't. He
Looper.
did. And he has one more Muppet credit, which I think most people will forget, and that's back in 2015. It was announced that he was going to star in the Fraggle Rock movie. Do you remember that?
I do remember that. I completely forgot about that. I forgot that Fraggle Rock movie was quote unquote going to happen with JGL.
Well, it's not now.
Well, of course,
I mean,
it's
that
not
was a long
now.
time ago.
I mean, how many
What a
times
shame.
have we said there was going to be a Fraggle Rock movie? So
I know,
there's
right?
that. But
We could do a whole podcast series just on, like, a serial style podcast series, like investigating the mystery of what happened to the Fraggle Rock movie.
deep dives. Yeah.
Oh, I kind of want to do that.
That would be pretty sweet. Yeah, and then the other, like, it's a little bit off the beat, but when I think of JGL and Muppets, there was a video, I think it's still on YouTube, of him performing at, like, I don't know what kind of show it was, like if it was an open mic or something, but he's playing the guitar and he sings the song I Don't Want to Live on the Moon.
That's right.
Which,
I
like,
forgot about
he
that.
talks about his ties of how he, like, connects that song to, like, his brother who passed away. And then, yeah, he sings his own rendition of it. And, I mean, I have a tattoo of that song, and so I always think of him speaking about what that song means to him, which it means different things for me, but it was still, like, a pretty cool video. That I'm pretty sure it is still on YouTube, because I think I made my boyfriend watch it with me.
Wow, good memory. I completely forgot about that. Wow, I mean, that's the kind of thing, too, where you see a celebrity do something like that, and you go, oh, he's a real fan.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's not just like, oh, yeah, working with puppets, that sounds dope. No, it's like he knows his stuff. He obviously learned the song. He wanted to perform it publicly. It means something to him.
Yeah.
Like, that actually really makes me feel strongly that, like, he's the right guy to be involved with, all three of the big Muppet franchises, if we're counting Fraggle Rock in that.
Oof, maybe. I mean, never say never. What if, like, we get out of this awful year that we've been in, and then next year we find out that they've already started production on a Fraggle Rock movie starring JGL.
Oh.
It would be so good.
Probably not, because they're going to start production on the Fraggle Rock TV show soon.
Oh,
remember?
yeah. Oh.
Yeah, for Apple TV. So maybe Joseph Gordon-Levitt will appear on that, and then they'll say, "Well, your contract is fulfilled." And that's enough.
I'm gonna have to cave and get Apple TV when that comes out. It's like
You're gonna have to cave.
It's like
for Fraggle Rock.
the one streaming platform that I don't have. Like, I've got all of the other ones, and then no, I guess we don't have Prime yet either. Although a roommate, I think, has it, and that's how we've watched a couple shows. There's so many streaming platforms, and I'm like, I can't get another one, but
it's too much.
They'll make something like Fraggle Rock or something else that will make me cave. So, yep.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is, like, when you have, Fraggles on Apple TV, and for a minute there we had Dark Crystal on Netflix, and we had all the Muppet stuff and the Henson stuff over on Disney Plus, and it's just like, you're adding more and more and more on there, and eventually it's like you're gonna have Muppet stuff on every platform. Oh gosh, and then, like, we got HBO Max has, like, Sesame Street and Elmo's Not Too Late show, which is terrific. I mean, yeah, and then, like, you're paying a monthly fee for each of those just because we want Muppets. We want our Muppet stuff. Remember the days when, like, they could just release a DVD and you buy it once and then it's done?
I miss those days. It was so much simpler then.
Well, so Joseph Gordon-Levitt is doing a scene with Miss Piggy, and she asks him, she says he used to be a child actor. Why did you give it up? Which I kind of feel like he answered the question saying, well, I grew up. But I kind of feel like I wish that they had just left it there, because it's such a good, like, Piggy just doesn't get it type of joke that doesn't make her seem stupid, but it kind of fits with her personality. Like, she's just oblivious.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. They sing the song Fly Me to the Moon, which also has some Muppet history. Back in 1965, Rolf the Dog sang that song on The Jimmy Dean Show.
Ooh.
And I think a lot of people will remember back in 1997, Tony Bennett sang a parody of the song called Slimy to the Moon, When Slimy Went to the Moon.
Oh, I forgot about that one. Yeah.
Yeah. The weird thing, though, like you said, he's a good singer. Like, he's a very talented, Hollywood person. But it's weird that, like, he's definitely lip syncing in this, and I'm sure they wouldn't normally have him singing live. But he's not a very good lip syncer, so like it looks a little fake to me.
Yeah, I definitely like clocked that as well. Which I know, like it is him actually singing, and so I gave him a little bit of credit. But there is like a certain talent to be able, like people who can lip sync well, they're very good at it, and I really do appreciate when you do see that.
That's true. That's true. Well, maybe next time he'll nail it, but this time it was a little obvious. And maybe it would have been obvious too or more obvious to people if we had actually seen him and Piggy like just sing the song straight through like they would have possibly done on the Muppet Show. But instead we end up cutting back and forth between what's on stage and the chaos backstage, which is kind of how our story starts, because Sweetums is supposed to cue the like a fake moon on a rope. And seems like he's got a cold. He sneezed and he broke his headset. He sneezes again, and Gonzo somehow gets tied up in the ropes, and he goes like flying in the air, and he's like bouncing around in the lighting grid and stuff, and like he hits a hot light and he burns himself and he falls down onto the craft services table. And it's a good Gonzo moment where he sits up and he goes, "That was awesome." So first of all, I want to ask you about that as our resident Gonzo expert. How did you feel about that moment for Gonzo?
It felt pretty good, just especially because we haven't gotten to see him be the daredevil he once was on the Muppet Show for quite a while. I want to say like maybe I guess like Muppets from Space. He got it, well, maybe not even that. I feel like it was like Muppet Treasure Island, where he did like a lot of like when he gets stretched out and like is throwing starfish at one point, a lot more like kind of crazy daring things. And so it's been a hot second, and this episode has a good feel to me throughout, because it is very much like Gonzo getting to kind of relive his glory days and remember like what it was about doing these like death-defying stunts that he really enjoyed. And I think him like going up into the rafters, like it's very obviously like at times like green screen and whatnot, but it looks pretty good, and it's a good intro, and it's a whole lot of fun for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I made some notes here myself about how great the puppetry is, because it's that mix of like they're not just throwing the puppet around.
Yeah.
Like someone's hand is in there. Someone's controlling the arms and legs, even though they're flailing, and the CG is actually pretty good of how they deleted the performer. It really looks like Gonzo is like flying around, and like you kind of forget after a minute that there is a human being controlling that puppet, which I think is really that's the clincher when it's good puppetry. And it's interesting too. We're talking about this idea that Gonzo is going back to his roots, and I wonder that's got to be what the writers' room was thinking. The show was getting a little bit too grounded, and now we're at a point where like people want to see Gonzo be Gonzo, and people want to see the Muppets be Muppets, and so we're going to do that through this story. I don't know if that's intentional. I would assume so, but
probably. I also wonder, and you maybe can answer this for me because you have been going through the episodes at this point, whereas I maybe watched the episodes more than once when they were coming out, but this is the only episode I've seen in so long. I wrote the review for Going Gonzo back when it aired, and I reread it this morning, and I seemed to talk a little bit about how Gonzo's not used very much in like the first 7 episodes. Like I mentioned that he has a B plot with like Liam Hemsworth, but is he prominent in any of the other episodes?
Not in this way. He'll have another storyline or two before the series is over after this. But no, the Liam Hemsworth episode where he's trying to go on an internet date, like which is such a dud of a storyline.
Yeah.
But yes, that was a B plot that was focused on Gonzo, and that as far as I know is it.
Yeah, besides like the one-liners, and occasionally he'd pop in
Yeah.
for some jokes.
And that's the problem. I mean, my own personal viewpoint on how Gonzo has evolved, especially over the last couple of decades, is going back to his Muppet Christmas Carol to Muppet Treasure Island to I don't know Muppet Classic Theater, like all that through Muppets Tonight, like those days. Gonzo kind of started shifting from being like this weird artist to being the daredevil to just being like the weirdest possible person. And now, especially that Dave Goelz is starting to get older, he's gone from just being a weird person to being this weird like creature to being a weird person. So now when we see him in a show like this, it's like, yeah, he'll say some odd things, like kind of like the weird guy in The Office, but not nearly as weird as I always go to the example of like the guy who's gonna play the flight of the bumblebee while eating a rubber tire while tap dancing in tapioca, in the name of art. Like we've gone so far from there to where he's just some guy.
Yeah, and I certainly have wondered, like, especially with this show and everything we've seen since, if it does maybe have to do a little bit with Dave Goelz getting a bit up there and, prioritizing some of the younger performers for various reasons. But yeah, and I definitely have noticed over the years that he, doesn't do as many stunts, and it's more comes off in his personality and things that he says. Like he'll just like throw out a one-liner about like something weird with chickens or food or something. And so I wonder if like in doing a show that is set in an office setting where the writers were like, well, this is so not what Gonzo was about when he first started out, and if like it makes a lot of sense that they would want him to like have a moment where he's like, oh yeah, this isn't what I used to be about. I used to be about, hitting a rock and yelling art, or as you said, eating a tire. All of these strange things. And like, I don't remember much about the episodes after this, but I wonder if that would have been more incorporated moving forward if they had gotten a renewal.
It's a good question, especially we'll find out later in the series that they're going to make a point to say that all the Muppets who've been working backstage are now going to be on the show, which is a very Muppety concept. So once we get out of like, okay, well, we can't have Gonzo just get into a canon because he's the writer. Why would the writer get into a canon? So we kind of have to come up with a reason for that in this episode. But later on, it would be a little bit more natural for Gonzo to just say like, I'm going to do this crazy thing because it's going on the show.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're the writer or not. Doesn't matter what your job is. Well, we'll talk more about that in a minute. But we find out next in the episode that Miss Piggy is angry at Gonzo, naturally, because he just ruined Miss Piggy's song. Because I forgot to mention while he was swinging around on the rope, the fake moon that was supposed to come into the scene while she was singing with Joseph Gordon-Levitt is now just swinging around wildly, and it swings between the two of them at one point. Which I have to assume was faked somehow. So she tells Gonzo, you're on my list. And she turns to Sweetums and says, same goes for you too. And he drops to his knees and goes, no!
I did write down just the note, Sweetums, no, is great. It's just like such a good reaction moment.
It was so good.
Like,
it was so good.
Just so over the top, which I think really like sells it. Is it Matt Vogel playing Sweetums in the show?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I think that just his like he just sells it by just going for it.
Yeah, completely agree. Here are the things, by the way, that can get you on Miss Piggy's list: breathing loud, showing weakness, eating BLTs with the B, and ruining her song. There's one way to get off of Piggy's list, and that is to buy some Piggy Water.
I mean, it's a clear-cut way to get off the list, at least.
I suppose. I wonder how much Piggy Water costs.
I was literally about to say, I bet Piggy Water is a lot of money, actually.
Yeah, I bet it's like $18 for a bottle of water.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But I bet it tastes so good.
Yeah.
So buttery.
Buttery sauce.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier that there's this poker game. That kind of is where our A plot and B plot sort of start to deviate. because Rizzo and Pepe want Scooter to play in their poker game because he's got really obvious tells, which is not surprising about Scooter. And Scooter was present for what happened to Gonzo, and he thinks that could have been me. And, am I just completely wasting my life? That's so very fragile. So at that point, Scooter is going to deviate, goes into what's going to happen with the B plot. We're gonna follow up with the B plot a little bit later, as opposed to going back and forth. We're going to stick with Gonzo and the rest of them for now. So keep listening to this podcast, folks, if you want to hear what happens to Scooter. So, Rizzo says to Pepe, we need another schnook to fleece, a patsy to swindle, a guy to rob. And Pepe doesn't understand any of that. I rewound that 3 times because I thought it was really... I can't really do it justice. A schnook to fleece, a patsy to swindle, a guy to rob. And it's just like with his accent, and Pepe's repeating it in his weird accent, and it's hysterical. So they finagle Joseph Gordon-Levitt to join them. The other players in the game are Gonzo, Kermit, and Big Mean Carl.
Oh, Big Mean Carl's so good in this.
He's great in this. He's
just digging through what is it, like the Chex Mix bowl,
yep.
And he's like, it's just the round discs, and he's so upset about it.
The rye discs or the rye chips are like the best part.
Yeah,
he's crazy. So Kermit is telling Joseph Gordon-Levitt that Gonzo used to be a daredevil. He would do base jumping, motorcycles through fire, boarding a plane before his zone is called. Which, I don't know if you've ever done that. I've done it, and man, it's terrifying. Like, you're going to get caught, like, in front of all these people.
I don't think I've ever done it. I go when they call me. Yeah.
You're a good person.
I guess so.
Yeah. So for Gonzo, there's the stunt that got away, which is he was going to get shot with a cannon over a gorge, which doesn't seem like... Gonzo's done crazy stuff like that, right?
It seems pretty basic. I mean, I guess if he's never done it because of the level of likelihood that he might die, I guess, but you would think that there would be something more to it, like fire or explosions or something.
Yeah, or like he's got to be wearing a certain thing or doing something while being shot.
Yeah.
It's not a cannon, it's something else. I don't know. Yeah, it just felt very dull for Gonzo, and like apparently the reason he didn't do it was because like he lost his nerve, and like that doesn't seem like Gonzo at all.
It definitely doesn't. No, that seems a little out of character.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens to him in a little bit. There's a scene here that I want to mention, just even though it's not really about the story. Kermit comes into Piggy's dressing room while she's going through like a beauty regimen, which Uncle Deadly says, ironically, it's not pretty. Kermit says that they used to date. He's seen everything, and of course he's shocked to see she's going through nasal electrocontouring, which seems to be like a mix of acupuncture and like electric shock therapy.
Yeah, she's got like the acupuncture needles all over her head, and then she's got some kind of electroshock like conductors on her snout that go off every like 10 seconds or so.
I think there was someone off to the side. You only really see their hands. I think they've
got like the remote control, and they're hitting the switch again and again.
And it's funny because I don't know if you've ever been to any kind of like physical therapy or chiropractor or anything like that. There is like this like electro muscle therapy, I think it is, that I've done many times.
Oh.
That feels amazing.
Really?
It's like, it's the craziest thing. So like I used to go to a chiropractor back when I was able to like go outside, and it's basically they put these pads on your back, and they're like, okay, I'm going to turn up the electric, whatever it is, and like I'm going to keep turning it up until you tell me it's too much. And I would just like lie there and go like, oh my god, I can't take it. Okay, stop. And like they would leave it at that pulse for like 20 minutes, and it's like getting this massage through your back that feels so amazing. And like, I don't know if chiropractic is real or not. Oops, I mangled that word. But man, it feels amazing.
Oh,
so
weird.
Something to look forward to.
I don't know if I knew that was like an actual thing. Obviously I have some awareness of like electroshock for other things, which maybe aren't quite as good. But that's interesting to hear that. Like, I'm assuming it like loosens the muscles.
Yep, that's exactly it. Yeah. Specifically for that, it was like they loosen the muscles so that when they like adjust the spine, it adjusts properly, and there's nothing to hinder it. But also like they're not like sticking needles in me and then shocking me. That seems like another level.
True, yeah. I mean, I was reminded when I read the review before I watched this episode. I did like make a note in my review about how, Piggy is vain, and like I definitely I get that she wants to look fabulous and beautiful all of the time. There is something in media about like women going through like such painful regimens to achieve beauty, that as a woman I feel is a little overdone. But also at the same time, like her reaction to getting shocked, and then she just like goes back to talking as if everything is normal and she wasn't just in pain, is pretty good. Yeah, so I had those conflicting feelings when watching.
And that's sort of like the whole premise of like all the Piggy and Tay Diggs moments in Muppets Now, right?
Yeah, I mean, when I mentioned earlier, I think it was less to do with Piggy Water and more to do with this moment that I was like kind of thinking ahead towards, especially in Muppets Now when she's like, doing all of these crazy things or like making her eat things that she has no interest in eating because it's supposedly good for you. Piggy has grown a lot since the 70s and 80s, but at times I feel like she's maybe stuck in the same joke looping over and over again. And we get it, and doing it occasionally is fine, but I feel like that was one of my main problems with this show, definitely with Muppets Now, is we don't see much growth from her at times. I guess she did have some like sensitive, more vulnerable moments on the 2015 Muppets, which I do remember appreciating, but then it would feel like she kind of just went back to this kind of joke over and over again.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a little bit more growth from Piggy later in the series. Okay. It's not going to come for a bit. I think we've got a little time before we get to see like a Piggy that isn't completely vapid and or obnoxious, depending on how you feel about Piggy. But the purpose of the scene is just so that Piggy will agree to let Gonzo try this stunt, so that she can promote Piggy Water on the show. Mm-hmm. And that's going to come back around as well. Delicious, delicious, buttery Piggy Water. So Gonzo is suiting up for his stunt. I meant to look up to see the history of this outfit. He's wearing this like yellow daredevil outfit with like a red trim and wings, and I wonder, is this the same outfit that he wore in Muppets Take Manhattan?
I don't remember. Wasn't it white in Muppets Take Manhattan? I could be completely wrong. It did look similar to what he wears in Muppets Most Wanted. Not entirely, because that one doesn't have the helmet. It's got like a hood when he's doing the running of the bulls, but it's very similar looking.
I believe. Oh, you know what? I'm getting confused. So I believe the Muppets Take Manhattan. Oh, hey, here we go. I just googled the Muppets Take Manhattan. It is not if not the same suit. It's very similar.
Okay, cool.
If not pattern exactly off of it. So that's good to know. I remember in the Muppets, the 2011 movie, the Daredevil outfit is bright pink.
Yes.
Which is not quite as exciting.
It's bright pink with a cape, isn't it?
Yeah, he's got a cape because it goes over his eyes when he jumps.
Right.
And then he's in the running for the bulls, I believe, because I believe that's bright red. I think that was the joke.
Is it bright red?
It's like he and Salma Hayek
is. Okay, I'm just confusing.
They were being chased.
All of his outfits.
No, that's the thing. And then there's also like the Palisades figure, which is yellow, but it's not the same yellow suit as the one that he wears as Muppet Takes Manhattan. Of all the Daredevil suits, if I had to choose, I do like this yellow one best. Also, I think he wore like a silver one on the Muppet Show. I'd have to go back and look at that. I don't know how iconic that one is, but I do like the yellow. I think it's cool, especially when that one has like this frill on top that gets into his eyes before he goes off on the skis, which he doesn't have in this episode.
Yeah, he must have just a whole closet of all of his different Daredevil suits from over the years.
Until they like get caught on fire or get torn or whatever.
Yeah, destroyed.
So Bobo says that Gonzo's doing this for everyone because everyone wants to live out their dream, and Gonzo's actually going through with it. For example, he always wanted to be a Chicago Bear, not a football player. He just wanted to live in Chicago. Good food, good people, no pressure on the body image.
It was a very like good Bobo joke. Like you could see it. He just wants to live in Chicago, eat a lot of food.
I like that. It's not even like that exciting of a dream. I love it. I'm sorry for all the people in Chicago who who just heard me say that. The other ones that we hear are not nearly as interesting. Sam's dream is to work in Congress, even though he can't get elected to his condo's board. And Chip's dream, Chip the IT guy, his dream is to bring joy by tap dancing across the world. I don't know how either of those made it to the final cut of this episode. They're both so dull.
Yeah, the Sam one seems really basic. Like, of course, he wants to be a politician in America. Like, that's everything that we know about Sam. Does Chip's tap dancing ever come back? Because I feel like that joke would work if he just occasionally would have a reference to tap dancing in future episodes.
That's a good question.
I don't think that
we'll
he
have to pay attention to
does, but yeah, you pay attention and maybe spot it out in future episodes.
So Kermit tells Gonzo that he got this whole thing greenlit with Piggy. He got Dave Grohl to appear on the show to promote it. The only thing is that he needs to wear a new Daredevil suit that is branded with Piggy Water, and he has a new name. It is now the Great Gonzo, brought to you by Piggy Water. Mm-hmm. Even when answering the phone and stuff. I like that. So Gonzo is now a walking billboard for Piggy Water. Although that seems like Piggy agreeing to that is like, why would you want Gonzo to be the guy? I get like that's like the the hand that's been dealt to you, but at the same time it's like, man, isn't he eventually just gonna, I don't know, cost you sales of Piggy Water?
She's probably not thinking that far into the future. She's probably very much in the moment. She's like, yes, this will make me some money right now.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Very Trump stakes.
Yes, very, very much so.
So Gonzo checks out the cannon with Bunsen and Beaker, and like I don't know about you, it's interesting to see Gonzo and Bunsen in a scene together. I'm sure it's happened before, but it's super rare. They're both performed by Dave Goelz.
Yeah. I can't think of outside of like the Muppet movie and like other films where they're just in scenes together because there's a big crowd. I can't think of any one-on-one interaction very much. Maybe there's a Muppet Labs, but I can't even remember any. So
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is like maybe like if anything, I could see Gonzo kind of going into Muppet Labs because they're working on some crazy thing that he's interested in. Maybe they did like a web short or or it's a Muppets Tonight thing that I don't remember. I don't know, someone can correct us and let us know if they ever had like a significant scene together. But like it's just, I don't know, it's just an interesting little combination of characters.
Yeah, definitely.
That's one of the things that you can get away with when you've got like a million Muppets to play with.
Yeah.
Even though we keep using the same 4 over and over again.
Yeah.
So they're testing the cannon, and they've built a Gonzo out of fruit that they have put into the cannon to test it. Bunsen tells Gonzo, we have to make sure that all the, everything is perfect, and if not, then this is what's going to happen. And they shoot it off the roof, and it splatters on the ground. Gonzo says, so you're saying that if everything doesn't go perfectly, I'll be a fruit smoothie? And Bunsen says, no, you'll be a flesh and blood smoothie. That's science!
That did make me laugh out loud. I forgot about that line, and it's very good.
Yeah, and it's kind of satisfying to see Bunsen kind of unintentionally torturing someone other than Beaker.
True. Yeah, we don't see that much. It's usually solely Beaker. Beaker didn't even get hurt in this episode. I mean, he's only in that one scene, but all he does is like, I think Beaker's the one that puts the Gonzo fruit into the cannon, and then he is unharmed miraculously. How often do we see Beaker without him getting hurt at all?
Yeah, it's true. And you would think, like, if this was a different type of sketch or a different type of episode or different writers, that maybe Beaker would have like found his way into the cannon, and he would have been the one that would go flying and go splat against the wall or something. That would have obviously undone like Gonzo's fear, because he would have seen Beaker's fine, because we're not going to murder Beaker in this episode.
Oh, but we've come so close to murdering Beaker in so many episodes, so it's only a matter of time.
True. Beaker is equally indestructible as Gonzo.
They have to be,
right?
Yeah. Yeah, that does feel like, I guess that maybe is like slightly a missed opportunity of like Beaker getting hurt in the cannon somehow, or even like getting in it and then it tilting the other way and like shooting him into a wall. But,
that would have been funny.
Yeah.
Or shooting it straight up and he plummets back onto the roof.
Yeah.
Or he maybe he lights his arm on fire when he tries to light the fuse.
Ooh, yeah. That
There's
seems...
a lot of things they could have done. To be fair, I'm not saying this because it's things I would prefer. Actually, I think the way they did it was fine.
I think so as well, and I think it probably was the reason that you said. They were like, oh, but if he gets in and he gets shot across or something, like maybe Gonzo would be less nervous about the whole thing, and the fruit splattering like really has to resonate with him a bit more.
Yeah, but Gonzo is nervous. He's having second thoughts about this very dull stunt. He tries to get out of it by telling Sam, who I guess is like the censor, like who's from standards and practices or something. He says there's a 99.9% chance it's going to end in an explosion of fur, and Sam says, "How exciting!" Because that sort of mayhem keeps the lights on at the network. But he does ask that when Gonzo hits the wall and explodes, he doesn't curse.
I did think that was the epitome of like American censorship, like with what we get in our media, of how like we're totally cool with like guns and like we're so desensitized from violence, but also like no swearing or nudity, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, a little bit of nudity.
A little bit.
But no swearing.
A little bit of nudity, for the male gaze, but that's it.
Right. It's very weird to hear Sam just be like that's exciting, like that violence, that sounds exciting. I don't know if that's necessarily how Frank Oz would have performed that in like on the Muppet Show, but the follow up does make it worthwhile. Like that's a good Sam line that like it's like, yeah, as long as you don't curse, that's fine.
Yeah, and from what I remember, this show took a lot of like leaps with Sam. Like they really tried to kind of like vary him up more because he has been like so one note for so long, and they were like, well, let's see if we can do something different with him.
Yeah, I mean that's part of the problem of this show too. Is the Muppets have always had such a huge cast of characters that it was okay that we had some characters that were one note. We didn't need to know like everything about New Zealand's backstory. It's like he's a guy who throws boomerang fish. That's enough. Like if you want some compelling character work, it's like you got a whole cast over there that you can play with. But like just let New Zealand be the weird guy who throws boomerang fish. Sam worked really well as a two-dimensional character. I do appreciate that they're fleshing him out a bit for the show, but he still worked fine as just this like judgy, angry guy who didn't get his way.
Totally. And I mean, there were a lot of background characters, like Deadly comes to mind, who, wasn't quite one note, but was definitely underdeveloped, and they took him and they made him into this, like, now fan favorite character.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is interesting to see, like, the characters who got the growth and who didn't, and, like, if it felt warranted at times. Because, like, yeah, I don't even know if, like, we didn't get any like much of New Zealand or Crazy Harry or anybody right on this show.
No,
Yeah.
little blips, but barely anything. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe if we had gotten a second season, we'd find out like where Lou gets all of his fish. Maybe.
Yeah. Where's the boomerang fish market?
Yeah. Where's he getting all of the money, all of his fish money?
I mean, he works as a grip on the show, I guess. He's doing something back there in the background.
I guess. Yeah.
I assume they pay him in money.
And he just spends it all on fish.
I mean, everyone's got to have a hobby.
Yep.
So Gonzo's scared of doing this stunt, which still doesn't work for me. Kermit tells him it's okay if he's scared, and they decide to cancel the stunt. Piggy says on the air due to weather conditions. I don't know. Like, here's the thing. Before we get into like the stunt itself, how do you see like who Gonzo is and like how he performs these stunts? By which I mean, like, is it that he feels no pain? Is it that he's fearless? Is it that he is so overly consumed with art or excitement that he overlooks all these things? What's your kind of headcanon for Gonzo?
I mean, I feel like it's a combination of all of those things. I think he definitely feels pain because, like, I feel like he is a little bit of a masochist and kind of likes and enjoys the pain, and I feel like he even has a line in the Muppet Show about how, like, pain is art, something along those lines,
That sounds like a Gonzo thing, yeah.
And so they kind of go hand in hand where he's like, yeah, there's going to be pain, but I need there to be pain so that this art is truly remarkable and really stands out. And, I think a little bit about what we had already talked about like Gonzo's growth over the years. I don't know, because I don't know quite where he's at this point of the show when it comes to like everything that he's gone through over the years, and with I don't know, I don't even know how to put it into words.
Yeah, that's okay. And the answer may be like it's everything and nothing at the same time. Like it can be any number of these things, which allows Gonzo to be this flexible character for different types of productions. The problem I'm having though is although I want to allow this sitcom to like kind of make their own rules for how Gonzo reacts to stunts or why he wants to perform these stunts or whatever it is, it goes against so much of what we've already established about the character that like they want us to know who this character is before the series starts. Like he's got a long history, we can't ignore that. But like this is a guy who's already done a bunch of crazy stunts, and so what is it about this that makes him nervous? Is it just plummeting? Well, he's plummeted before. Is it being in a cannon? Is it landing in a pool full of water? Like I don't know what the issue is.
Yeah, I would have liked a little bit more justification of why he was so nervous. I do agree, like, because yeah, he's done so many things, and he's been flung around buildings, and I'm sure he's probably toppled off buildings before. And they're the Muppets, and so they're not going to die, obviously. So it does feel out of place, or like more backstory of why like maybe it's been so long since he did the stunts. Like it really kind of is just brushed to the side with like, oh yeah, Gonzo used to be a daredevil, but it never dives into why he stopped. And then it comes back to this particular stunt where it does feel very not creative of him just being shot out of a cannon, which we know he's been shot out of cannons before, and why this time, this particular one makes him so scared and why he's never been scared by doing something like this before.
Yeah. Well, while Gonzo is kind of having this crisis of conscience, we see a little bit from Up Late with Miss Piggy, and we see that her latest guest is the one and only Dave Grohl, famous musician from Nirvana and the Foo Fighters, and Dave Grohl. Dave, he has a couple of good Muppet connections, including appearing in Sesame Street, their 50th anniversary season, not the special, the season, singing a song called "Here We Go" with Big Bird and Elmo, and then of course he appeared in the Muppets, the movie, as Animal, one of Fozzie's Pachulo Casino Muppets. The Muppets. And I wonder, is Dave Grohl the only person, the only celebrity to appear in both the Muppets and the Muppets?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't remember all of the guest stars on this show, so I can't speak to it. But that's maybe something you're gonna have to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, we'll see.
I did remember him from the Muppets. I really like his cameo in that. It's very good.
It's very silly. He's having a good time. You don't need much. That's good cameo. This show, I feel like the cameos are odd because we don't have a lot of time to spend with them. It's not like back on the Muppet Show where we've got 22 minutes to fill, and the guest star is going to be in like 2 sketches and 2 songs or whatever throughout the whole thing. Mm-hmm. It's like we have literally about 30 seconds of Dave Grohl here. He goes out to the Electric Mayhem and he says, "Do you guys remember how we did in rehearsal?" And Janice says, "Oh, we'd like to do it different from rehearsal." And Grohl says, "So why did we rehearse?" And Floyd says, "Well, if we didn't rehearse, there'd be nothing to do it different from." And so Dave says, "Actually, I dig that." And they share a moment, and they sing "Learn to Fly," the Foo Fighters song, because Gonzo was supposed to be flying in this cannon. While he's playing, Gonzo feels inspired about flying, and he decides to go for it, and Kermit follows him outside, and this is an interesting moment where he gets in the cannon, he lights it, and he shoots himself, across the studio, lands into a bucket of Piggy Water, and it's the cameras aren't running, like he's not doing it for an audience, except for Kermit, who just happens to be there. He's doing it for himself, which I kind of like. I have different opinions about. If this was supposed to be in the name of art, can you have art without an audience? That's more of a philosophical question, I think. But the fact that he did this for himself, he needed to prove it to himself that he could do it. He's not afraid. This is something that he loves. This is a part of him. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, I think it's a really sweet moment to end on. And maybe that's like what it comes down to. And maybe they should have layered that a bit more, was that maybe he just felt the pressure because it was going to be on television, and he felt like he had to live up to this name that he had for so long. But yeah, in the end, it just needed to be for him. And I think that like both the scene in the bar and this ending scene between him and Kermit it's very sweet. It's very nice. Just like you gotta just see them be friends, which we haven't really gotten to see in a long time with just like Gonzo and Kermit. And I feel like maybe the one thing that's missing that I kind of wish was in the episode was Fozzie.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we don't get the trio much these days, and I miss like their relationship. And it would have been like kind of nice to also have Fozzie up on the roof at the end. But
that's a good point. The Muppet Wiki tells me this is only one of 2 episodes that Fozzie Bear's not in at all.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Well, after he splashes into Piggy Water, Kermit is across the street and he's going, "You did it!" And Gonzo says, "I'm Gonzo the Great." And Kermit says, "No, you're Gonzo the Greatest," which I think is a great line. I like that a lot.
It's really nice.
That's a nice moment. And they have a little cheer, and Kermit does his yay, and Gonzo takes a sip of the Piggy Water, and it's delicious, even though he's in it.
Yeah, but it's on
gross.
brand for him, you know.
Oh, for sure. But like, also, like, don't drink your own bathwater, kids. That's a bad idea. The episode ends during the credits sequence with a drum battle between Dave Grohl and Animal. I remember watching this for the first time and going, ugh, because Animal has done so many drum battles with people that, like, it's not interesting, it's not clever, and it's definitely not new. He did 2 drum battles on The Muppet Show, one with Harry Belafonte, one with Buddy Rich. He did one with Questlove from The Roots on Late Night with Jimmy Fallon. He did one with Blink 182's Travis Barker on Jimmy Kimmel Live, and he did one with Fall Out Boy's Andy Hurley on like some sort of Radio Disney award show, which I'm not really sure what it was, but it's a thing that he did. And it's just like, it just seems like such a gimme. Like, let them play drums, and then they'll tire themselves out, or something will explode, or in this case, they end up knocking all the drum pieces on the ground. I don't know. How do you feel about it?
I wonder if like it was maybe even suggested by Dave Grohl, because I imagine if you're a drummer, the idea of playing drums against Animal is actually like, yeah, I want to do that. That would be so cool. And so I wonder if it was maybe pitched by him, even just like because he wanted to have that experience. But I guess they could have done something different. Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty meh for me. Like, I get it. We've seen it before, as you listed off, but it doesn't feel like a total miss, but it does feel like they could have done something a little different to end the episode on.
Yeah. I mean, maybe if I cared more about like the art of drumming, then I would have found that interesting. But instead, I'm just like watching 2 guys, one of which is like fake playing the drums, technically. And they're just kind of like, playing an instrument, and then it's over. That's kind of it. So I have to assume that there's more that you can do with drums. But you're probably right that may have been something that Dave Grohl had asked for. And, it kind of harkens back to the old Muppet Show days where they would ask the guest stars, like, okay, who's your favorite Muppet? We'll try to, like, write a scene for you with them. And Dave Grohl may have been like, look, I played Animal in the Muppets movie, and I didn't get a scene with him at that time. And so now it's like, I love, he's a drummer. Like, of course he wants to do a scene with Animal.
Yeah.
And what else are you going to do? So that's the end of the main storyline. We're going to talk very briefly about the B plot, which features Scooter. Remember Scooter? We talked about him a while ago.
I loved Scooter on this show. That's another memory I had about going through the Muppets, is that I thought that like their use of Scooter was pretty great throughout. Like, he got to shine quite a lot.
Yeah, I totally agree. Not everyone agrees with that. Some people didn't love the stuff with like his mom and Ken, and like they kind of made him into like this like nebbishy guy.
Yeah, I feel like
I love it.
I remember that, like, a lot of like discourse about that, and I feel like some of it was hit or miss for me. There was just a couple moments though that I remember like just finding very funny.
Yeah. Well, in this one, like we said earlier, after Gonzo's accident at the beginning of the episode, he feels like that could have been him, and he's got to take control of his life. He's got to take some chances, take some risks. So he goes to visit the Electric Mayhem, and first of all, there's a moment before he walks in the room where they have the fake moon from the opening scene with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and Zoot is looking at it, and he says, "Is that the real moon or just a department store one?" And Floyd says, "Ain't no real moon, not since the 70s." Which, again, like, not everyone loves the fact that Floyd has become, like, this weird conspiracy theorist on the show. I think it's hysterical. That, like, he doesn't think the moon is real. And, like, what happened in the 70s? That there was a moon and now there's not?
I think it's used just like the right amount, where it's just like a throwaway line occasionally, and I think that it ends up working out. And then like Zoot's like just asking if that's the real moon is very on brand. It's very good.
I completely agree. I love all that stuff. And I also, now that I'm thinking about it, like when he says not since the 70s, do you think that means that that Floyd knows that there was a real moon in 1969 and that the moon landing was real? Like, of all the conspiracy theories that he could believe in, but it's like, but that one, no, that's crazy. Like, you don't fake a moon landing.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I don't know.
In any case, Scooter tells the Electric Mayhem, he's like, I don't want to play it safe anymore. He's like, I want to live like you guys, on the edge. And so Dr. Teeth's suggestion is, here's what you do. He says, you leave home at the age of 14, you make your way down to Tupelo, Mississippi, where you're going to find a voodoo princess named Tiana, who'll give you a gold tooth and lessons in the rhythms of love. Which I guess now we have a backstory for Dr. Teeth, assuming he's talking about himself.
Yeah, I mean, that's where the gold tooth came from, and now TMI on Dr. Teeth, I guess.
Yeah. Lips, with a rare line from Lips, suggests that, well, if he's going to do that, he's going to need a time machine, because Scooter is long past 14. So Floyd tells him he's got a friend named Eddie who lives in the desert that has a time machine. Very matter of fact, no follow-up. Of course he has a time machine. Zoot says that he uses the time machine on weekends. He gets in on a Friday, comes out on Saturday. The whole thing takes about a day. Which, I guess we're all in a time machine right now. Isn't that special?
By that logic, yeah, we're all like time travelers and going through time.
Yeah. But Janice makes the winning suggestion that he should pierce his ear. He's got nice lobes, she says. Scooter says that Chad from his spin class has an earring, and the way he rides, you can tell he doesn't give a hoot. So he's going to do it. He's going to get his ear pierced. Later in the episode, we get the ear piercing scene. Janice puts an ice cube to his ear, and he says like that it's the worst pain he ever felt. So, maybe he shouldn't have a needle pierced through his skin. I don't know. Just me. And then like there's a weird moment where like animals like chewing ice next to him, which is just annoying, and I don't know, kind of makes my molars vibrate just thinking about it.
I have the bad habit of chewing ice. It's not good for your teeth. You shouldn't do it.
It is not. Don't chew ice, kids. Animal could chew ice because that guy eats glass, man.
Yeah.
So every time she tries to pierce his ear, he just like his head just kind of flings to the side. I'm doing this in real life as if people can hear this. This is a podcast.
Yeah.
Come on, man. He's got like these head spasms, and she's like just trying to get him to hold his head still. So Dr. Teeth offers to like hold his head, which makes sense because he's the only one of the Electric Mayhem who has like live hands.
Yeah.
And Scooter's still spasming, and then he kind of does this like weird karate thing, and Animal jumps on his back, and Scooter flips him and like runs, and like it's like chaos. Like I don't know what Scooter's doing. He's like, when I say karate thing, he's like putting like making a pose and going like ha ha ha.
I agree the karate thing is like definitely out of character for him. But he is like in such like it's fight or flight, and he's like kind of in both, where he is both fighting and flighting because he's like, never mind, I made a terrible decision, I need to get away.
Yeah, I totally buy that from him. Like this is not a guy who should get out of his comfort zone, and here he is way out of his comfort zone.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
He's panicking.
Yeah, and yeah, the karate part's a little weird, but I do find like the comedic, like the physical comedy of this, like pretty good, like with Dr. Teeth trying to hold his head and Janice trying to like pierce his ear, and then like his just total like physical freak out. It's got some good comedy elements to it.
It's pretty good. Later on in the episode, he comes back to apologize, but the Electric Mayhem all say that they liked it. They had a great time.
Yeah.
Just fighting him off. They said he can come back and toss the wild man anytime, which I know we're talking about Animal, but that does sound like they're offering him heroin or something. Like is that a euphemism for something?
Oh,
like, oh yeah, we're gonna come out over to the Electric Mayhems and toss the wild man.
Yeah, I mean, who knows with the electric mayhem?
I don't know. I don't think about that one too hard. That was I don't know where my brain went on that. Um, Janice says that his aura went from yellow to indigo. And so, yeah, Scooter is really proud of getting out of his comfort zone and living on the edge for once. But then he says, "You're not going to tell my mom, are you?" And that's where our B plot ends. It kind of ends with a whimper, I think.
Yeah, I would agree. Like that one, like there was a line earlier in the episode where he talks about how his mom wakes him up to like gentle James Taylor tunes, and I liked that a lot more than the like, oh, but don't tell my mom, final line of it.
Yeah, right. And like, I'm not really sure what the lesson that Scooter learned here is. Like, he tried to get out of his comfort zone. He had a panic attack, and that was getting out of his comfort zone. Like, he didn't really accomplish anything.
Yeah,
he feels like he did, which is a bit of accomplishment. But yeah.
Now that you say that, like, I guess his accomplishment was that he successfully hung out with the Electric Mayhem, and he didn't freak them out when he freaked out. But yeah, I guess he didn't really learn anything about himself. Just that he will never get an ear pierced, probably.
Probably not. No. I mean, the guy hasn't changed his style of eyeglasses in 40 years, so he's not getting an earring. Well, that brings us to the end of the episode of the Muppets. So now that we've revisited the whole thing, how do you feel like this episode compared to the first time you watched it 5 years ago?
I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's 5 years ago, so it's so hard to say exactly where I was at, but like I seemed to enjoy it based off of rereading my review on it. And I think I enjoyed it probably just as much. It's maybe a little strange watching it without the context of the previous episodes since I haven't been going through them. Although they are kind of standalone episodes most of the time, so I didn't feel too like thrown into a plot or anything like that.
Yeah, there's nothing you need to know beforehand in this one.
Yeah, I mean, Denise wasn't even in this episode, which was the one big thing I remember in the lead up to the Muppets.
Right, yeah.
But it's good. It's funny. It's a lot of fun. I have a lot of sentimental feelings towards Gonzo, so watching him kind of like, he's always been kind of the sensitive Muppet of the group, and he has had like moments of self-doubt in the past, and so it didn't feel too out of the realm of possibility, and so getting to see him kind of overcome that and do the stunt at the end does fill me with a great amount of joy. So overall...
I agree with all that, especially, the growth of the character. For me, having watched the last few episodes and seeing how, like, Gonzo wasn't quite being Gonzo, this is definitely a step in the right direction. Mm-hmm. It's hard for me to remember exactly how I felt after watching this one for the first time 5 years ago. I seem to remember feeling like, oh, they're starting to fix the problems. They're starting to like bring Gonzo back to the old guy that we love. And now that I'm watching it today, just kind of noting that Gonzo isn't like, he's not really becoming the old Gonzo. Like, they're giving him one characteristic of who he was and not even like committing to it.
Yeah.
They're just kind of like saying like, oh, he's a guy who got into a cannon once. And, that's okay. Again, like, that's a step in the right direction. But we're going to be seeing over the next few weeks of this podcast if they're going to follow through or not. So I guess we'll find out.
Totally, yeah.
Well, that brings us to the end of another episode. Thank you, everyone, for listening to the Muppets, the Sitcom, the podcast. If you want more Muppet fun, please visit us at toughpigs.com. We are on all the coolest social media channels, including Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and YouTube and things. Julia, where can people find you on the internet?
Oh, plugging myself. My handle on, I believe, both Instagram and Twitter is @geekgirlgrownup. I'm rarely on Twitter. It's usually either for self-promotion or if I need to rant about something. I am pretty active on Instagram. And I post poetry on the internet sometimes. It get published. If you look up Julia Gaskill poetry, you'll find some. That's about it. And then read Tough Pigs. I write for Tough Pigs occasionally.
Terrific. Yes, please read Tough Pigs.
Yes.
So thank you for listening to this show. Please give us a good rating and tell all of your friends that it's the best podcast you've ever heard, and they really need to. They're behind the times. Like, guys, come on, just listen to the Tough Pigs podcast. And thank you so much to the sponsor for this show, Piggy Water. It's buttery good. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.